Yo, 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 yo. Markets are moving. I feel like they've been moving a lot lately, but we got to talk about it. We got some great charts we're going to be covering today. Got a little bit of the hold. So I'm going to do a hold screen in about 2 minutes. And we're going to be getting going here in just a second. I'm retweeting this live stream from the @KellyKellum page, also on the at Academy BitLab page. But retweet this. You get entered to win. We will be drawing tomorrow. I'm going to just, I'm not going to do the quote tweet anymore. I'm just going to retweet it as it is on @Academy BitLab. But we got some great charts to cover today. The Bitcoin breakout, we broke beyond that 65K mark. We should be going up and away, right? Well, let's talk about it. We got some things we got to be looking at. We got to make sure we don't get caught in traps because the time is now, the best opportunity of our lives. Many of us have been waiting on this for years. About 160 days post-halving, which we have hit that mark. We're in that zone that I've been talking about. Price action breaking to the upside. Does that mean it's going to happen today, tomorrow, or next week? Well, let's talk about it because the charts are giving us some massive signals. We're going to be getting into this here in just a moment. So everybody hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet this. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to my Twitter @KellyKellum. Retweet the post of this live stream. You get entered to win. We're going to be going live here in just a moment. Bitcoin breakout trap. Do we have another move to the downside? Is that likelihood starting to evaporate? I just did a post on the Street Roundtable on the crypto section this morning talking about the massive bull breakout that is looming just around the corner. Let's make sure we're all having our bags packed and we are ready to get this, as Papa Goose says, get this Diddy party started. This is not a Diddy party. This is a crypto party. All consent, all homies. Let's get into it. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon. We're starting to get that pumpage. We're starting to get that market move to the upside, breaking that key level that we've been talking about, which is right here in this zone. Let's go ahead and head over to CoinW. Is there a trade to take? Let's look at it. We are going to be doing a lot more trading with you all. And you can get inside of our free traders group, which is posted there in the top of the pinned comments there in the live chat. I'm going to go ahead and post this over here on. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Make sure every one of you show some love. Come here and retweet this post right here, Bitcoin breakout trap warning with the live stream. Retweet that, hit the like button. And then here is a free traders group right there. Boom. You can get inside and see the different setups, signals, breakdowns, and the education stuff that's been held up. It's not my fault, but we've been waiting on it. I've been pushing people along to get that education stuff in there. But we're starting to see, this is on the 1 minute. Let's go over to the 15-minute. 15-minute chart. We're starting to break beyond this. Look, 64.6, 60. We're up into the 65. We had a wick up here into this zone. If we pull this and just look very simply at the stochastics, the MACD and the RSI, all of them kind of trended down a bit, but the RSI specifically staying above that 50% mark. The MACD is starting to really start to show some strength there. This is, again, on the 15-minute chart. But when we're looking at this as it lands right here, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do a take profit and stop loss. I'm automatically going to set it right here, 60. Let's just do it at 65 even. Boom. Oh, can't. I'm going to do fairly high leverage. Come boom. Let's get that in. Let's get the trade going. We have the stop loss set on entry. I've been trying to catch this all morning. Got stopped out on one, got two profitable trades. But we're going to, as this moves up, especially if this breaks beyond this, we're going to move the stop loss well into profit. But we're starting to see signs of life in this. And I did a pretty long, let's do the street. Let's go here. I did a pretty not long. I did an article and video on this here. If you look at this, this Bitcoin signals epic bull run inbound. About a 6-minute video there. I'll probably share it here on the YouTube here in a day or so. But I basically broke it down. It was for these reasons right here. Fed rate cut, global money printing, surges global liquidity, fueling a bullish sentiment in Bitcoin and risk assets. Major financial institutions, including BlackRock, Fidelity, Wells Fargo, Visa, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and the list goes on. I did not list them all. There's so many of these major financial institutions that are starting to build into Bitcoin and digital asset products here, which is incredible. Bitcoin's historical volatility compression, which I covered yesterday, I'll bring it up again today, signals potential large price movements ahead. And if everything's leaning towards bullish continue, ooh, look at that. So we got a little pop. We're going to move this into profit. Boom, right there. That way, regardless of what happens, we are going to be in profit. I just saw that. I was looking at the price action up in the top right on the tab. I could see that we had started to get a little bit of movement there. Let's look at what's going on here. We're going to track this. We're going to be trading today. We're going to be looking at the price action. We're going to be looking at the liquidation zones and what is going on, the updated zones that we need to pay attention to. I just want you to notice we popped into this earlier today, cleared out this liquidity, sliced right back up into this. This is that next node right here, 65.6. If we're able to clear that, I think we're going to start having some pretty strong movement to the upside. Let's go ahead and move this deep into profit here, at least in profit enough to cover the fee of the trade that we were in. So we're up about 18%. We just entered this. Now, this is a fairly high leverage trade, but this is a pretty minimal size trade in terms of how big my trading portfolio is. Trading about $400. Look at this, $442. Fairly high leverage, but I'm doing very tight stops on this, and I'm paying attention to what's going on. For those of you that are in the CoinW Signals Lab trading group, make sure you're following along with the different trade setups, signals, and the education that's going to be popped in there very shortly. But look at this. We're already up 20% here. We're going to move this up just a touch. Boom. This way, regardless of what happens, we are going to be in profit. Now, continuing on, I'm going to cover some of the stories. But I think today it's going to be more about TA. It's going to be more about what's going on in these charts, because even this little move up here in past that 65 zone does not mean this is gone, over and away, just up only from here. We could still have a pretty stiff reversal. I mean, look at this, same size, 15 minutes, same candle. Look, move up, came right back down within that same candle. If we come down to the 3 minute, we can actually also see that this is that move up, came right back down, whipsawed back up, trapped people back long, trapped people short, then it resolved to the upside. So we have to pay attention to what's going on here, because the market is going to be whipsawing in directions all day long, especially considering where we're at in relationship to this upper resistance line that is descending, and the fact that, look at this, we finally did it. We finally did it. I don't know why this screen chopped over there, but God dang it. There we go. We have the higher low right here, and now we finally have a higher high. So things are starting to shape up to where we're starting to get signals of a potential reversal out of this downtrend that we've had since March 13th. Now, this is very good. This doesn't mean we are everything, all systems go yet. I'm going to move this up just a touch more. This is probably going to come down and wick me out, but that's okay, because you see this increase in momentum. Candle, bullish engulfing candle here. Gets a little smaller, but then larger. And then immediately following that, we're starting to get, now this is a 3 minute candle. Let's go ahead and turn on the countdown to bar close. I do want to shout out, if any of you are trading on Coinbase, if any of you are trading here on CoinW, right here, this where it says indicators, 2 more over right here, you can turn on current position. You see that shows you where you entered, and you can also turn on your TPSL right here, which shows you where your take profit or stop loss is. You can move this as this starts moving up. You'll see I can just drag this and move it up to sort of like a manual trailing stop on this. So as price goes up, I can move where I will be closed out if the price reverses on me, because we're starting to see 3 minute candle. It's already 2 minutes in. This is starting to look like there's a little bit of weakness coming in. So this may be a little bit of an impulse trap here at the moment, but that's okay. But let's go ahead and go over. I'm going to leave this as it is. It's okay. It doesn't matter if the price reverses. I have my stop loss in profit. We're up about 20% right now on this move. Come on, baby. Go. Let's get this thing rocking. Everybody wants to see this starting to push up, because remember, we have this liquidation zone directly. Let's go ahead and put this on to 12-hour. I'm just doing this really we want to get through this and trigger some basically short squeeze, because these are shorts. These are people that are shorting this area. We have this liquidation zone. We'd like to see this completely flush through, and then the next node is going to be up here at 66,000 and beyond. If we pull this out and look at this on the 3-day, look at this, slice through this, boom. Now we're in this node. If we were able to slice through this, then we'll likely be well on our way to pushing up to at least test this upper zone right in here. Now, again, I do want to point out, about a month ago, I did shout out. Where is the chart? It's one of these charts. Boom, boom, boom. This chart right here. I did show a potential for a move up into this area, and then there is a likelihood that we get a washout back down, whether it's a double bottom here at 54,000. Yeah, that feels scary, right? Or even potentially coming down here into this lower bound in the $50,000 realm. So pay attention that as this is feeling very bullish, we still need to make sure that we are able to break through this upper bound of descending resistance that is right here. We're trying to push up into it, but we're not quite yet there. Do we get stopped out? No, not yet. Let's go ahead. Yeah, come on. Come on, baby. I want this to go. I don't want to get stopped out again, although I will be in profit. I'm ready for this to rip. Now, coming back over to the coin market cap and just taking a look, man, we're seeing some great signs of life. Come over here. Athena, up 16%. Shiba Inu up almost 12%. Starknut, 11%. Dog with Hat, Thorchain, Wormhole. A lot of big movers here. And remember, all of you that have been watching and tracking along with this position altcoin folder portfolio, this position altcoin portfolio that I've been sharing with you all. Again, this is not my entire portfolio. These are just coins that I've been stacking into, holding. The plan is to hold for the majority of the bull market, and understanding that, remember, if we look at this, let's go to the dashboard. Actually here, boom. If we look at this, we go to, let's do 3 months. We had the price, let's actually do 6 months. We had the price get all the way down here. Look at this. The total portfolio got down to about in the $50,000 range. We're now pushing back up near that $100,000 mark. And this is just coins, because not everybody wants to trade and be stressed all the time. Some people want to find positions and hold them. Also take a benefit of having that basically long-term hold tax position, where once you hold past 12 months, then you get attributed long-term holder tax versus short-term held capital gains, right? So what this means is these coins I've been stacking into over the period since about February to now, and we've rode some of these down. Some of these were down 30, 40%. And now a lot of these, not all, but a lot of these are pushing back into very strong profits. BitTensor up 78% since I made that call with you all. And remember, we bought this, and then BitTensor Tau dropped pretty significantly. Ondo up about 8%. This was way up. It's come back. We added some more to that position. Near Protocol up 50%. Okay, we're still down a little bit on stacks, still down a little bit on Chainlink, but I'm so confident on Chainlink. Aerodrome up 126%. Now, we did take some profits on this. We took like $10,000 in profits. We rotated that into some other altcoins. Sometimes you have to make strategic decisions about what you want to do, especially if you're not trying to always add new capital to the market. I said, well, this ran up pretty damn quick, so let's take some of these profits, and we rotated them into different parts of the market. Let's go to see more assets. Polkadot, we're down about 35%. Render up 14%. Polygon down, and it's kind of mirrored. The smaller market cap coins have not yet rebounded, but it's okay. These are coins that they're so small that once they start to move, they're going to move very quickly. And again, I'm still very bullish on swarm markets. Florence Finance, I'm a little indifferent to right now. I haven't seen much come from them, but it's a small enough position that, I just let it sit. But when we're coming back over here and we realize that this market, we're about to get stopped out. Stop me out, baby. Stop me out. Come on. It's okay. We don't need to watch it get stopped out. But then coming back on over here, remember, if you're worried, we just got the Chinese central bank unveils the most aggressive stimulus since the pandemic. And this is important because we're talking about what's going to bring that fuel for higher prices, and it's new liquidity injected into the market. This is what we're seeing. And we're also we're exactly where we're at right now. This is basically a highlighted zone where exactly where we were the last 4-year cycle post-halving. Same thing, last 4-year cycle. We've kind of gone through that 160-day mark now, which we've been outlining for quite some time on this chart. If we come up here and we look at I think it's this chart right here. Yeah, this box. This box right here, if we zoom out on this, this box is that timeline that we have been watching for when we are likely going to see that price action push to the upside. Now, I don't know why that zoomed in. Let's go ahead and pull this out to the actual day that we're on now. We're right into that 161 day mark. Look at that. We've talked about this for some time. So we're in that zone. And look at this. If we come over here and we realize this is that zone, we pushing up into that zone. I am so bullish on everything that's happening right now. Did we get stopped out? We got stopped out, and watch it completely reverse from here. This is just how it happens sometimes. But this is why when you are trading, you need to be paying attention to the charts. Luckily, I have my stop loss in profit, so I can dance around and do this. But going back to China, China is considering now also injecting 1 trillion yuan, which is about $142 billion of capital, into its biggest state banks. So these things are all setting up in the favor of the bullish scenario. We talked about this yesterday. Over $1.42 trillion got injected into the global liquidity in the last week, not the last quarter, not the last year. In the last week, over $1.4 trillion has started rolling into these markets. So it's time to be excited. It's time to make sure that we're keep minding our P's and Q's, because things are only getting more bullish. In addition to that, we see financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck. We've seen all of this. And they're starting to experiment with Bitcoin-backed lending, foraying into this digital asset ecosystem. If this breaks out of it, if this pushes out of here, I'm going to be so pissed, but it's okay. Continuing on, Bitcoin has officially reached $65,000 mark for the first time since August 1st. Continued whale, this is the important part, continued whale and shark accumulation has undeniably been a factor preventing Bitcoin from seeing sustained drops. $4 billion in Bitcoin has been accumulated by 10 plus Bitcoin wallets in 6 months. So there's 10 major players out there that have just been stacking in to these positions. Is this going to go? This bastard. Okay, let's go ahead and get in another trade here. I'm going to make sure as this, I want to see this. I don't want to get into it here. I want to get into it as this breaks the zone. Let me get ready with my stop loss. So as I'm entering, I'm making sure I'm entering a stop loss in case there's some sort of quick reversal. So come on, baby. Let's go ahead and look at this. So look at this. RSI starting to round up. Stochastic RSI rounding down. Where are we at on the 15-minute chart? Okay, we are breaking through. Stop loss. I'm going to put this 65, 400. Boom. There, you see how I just entered a trade and added a stop loss on the trade. This way, if this is just a fake out, this will come out and stop me out with very minimal loss on this trade. Now I'm gonna move this just a touch. There we go. Come on, baby. Now coming back on, when this market's moving, you got to pay attention so you can take advantage of the moves that are being made in the market. But these large players have been buying. Large players have been stacking into this level. Large players don't tend to start layering in or continue sustained layering in at price levels where it's near a market cycle top. Dumb money sells when prices will likely go higher. Smart money buys when prices will likely go higher. So the fact that we've seen $4 billion in Bitcoin purchases accumulated in the last 6 months, incredible. And remember, what have we been seeing the last 6 months? The last 6 months is this. It's this price action right here. What is similar to this price action right here? Let's look at the time basis. Look at the bottom. What date is this? Let me move this out of the way. What date is this? This is March to essentially September. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So 6 into 7 months. And what is the same thing? Let's go over here. Let's look at the bottom. March into October. So March into September would be marked to about where we're at right now, roughly right here. This zone right here would be where we're at when you compare where we're at on this market cycle time period versus this in terms of where we're at within the year. And what do you know? Price went sideways when liquidity was dried up while people were in big money and institutions, they say sell a man, walk away. It's largely due to in traditional assets. Historically, money and activity tends to leave during the summer. You get a little bit more quiet on the volume and liquidity metric. And so what we're seeing now, similarly with Bitcoin, 6 months sideways, previous all-time high right here. We've been accumulating just above and now just below. We are fighting to get this back to the upside. We got stopped out. Okay. All good. So this is, guys, I'm so bullish. And this is what I'm talking about. That consolidation that we saw last summer, that we're seeing again this summer, this is last summer right here. This is when the period of accumulation where price consolidation went sideways, roughly sideways. It was a $7,000 range that this was trading in. But because of that, it was so long that the volatility compressed so deep that we got this signal. And then right out of this signal, we got this massive move from about $25,000 all the way up to $74,000. Similarly, in the 2 cycles ago, we saw this happen 1, 2, 3 times. Each time resulted in large movements to the upside. Now, this is going to be somewhat contingent on where we're at within the market cycle, because these are post. This is post long bear market. We have accumulation, then we get up, right? This is bear market. We had the accumulation. Now we're on that upswing. This is what we're looking at right now. And in addition to this, what do we have coming up? In a matter of about 40 days, we have one of those things that happens every 4 years, which somehow is perfectly aligned with where the global liquidity cycle is, as well as the halving cycle. And then, of course, this cycle right here. I don't want to say the words because we get demonetized on YouTube for, even as a citizen, to talk about these things that we should all be able to talk about. Good morning, Peter John Laram. How you doing? Good morning, BitLab Academy. Good morning, each and every one of you. I do want to shout out everybody that is here on a daily basis. I appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. And again, make sure if you're watching on Twitter and also if you're watching here on YouTube, you come over here to @KellyKellum. You can see it right below my name. This is how it's spelled. There's only one of me. There's about 300 fake profiles out there. Make sure you're following the correct Kelly Kellum. And come here. You can click on the thing where it says right there, and it'll take you right to the live. Go and retweet this. Boom. You can retweet this, post it, or just directly from my page right here. Hit that retweet button. Hit that like button. You get entered to win. We give away cash. We give away USDT. We give away merchandise. We give away Arculus cold storage wallets. We give away all kind of stuff. And we randomly draw a day. We randomly draw a person. The last giveaway, we actually gave away 3 giveaways. So go show some love, show some support. Now, continuing on, this is what we're coming into. Okay, we could talk about global liquidity. We could talk about the halving cycle, but let's just look at how this relates to this very important cycle that happens every 4 years. And look at this. Here's that date, boom, up. Here's that date, boom, up. Here's that date back here, 2012, 2013. You can't see it under my face. Let me go see if I can zoom. Yeah, right there, boom, up. We're coming into that same thing right now. All signals align for very likely, much more likely than not, bullish action versus bearish action. With all of the data we're talking about, with Chinese central banks printing, basically pushing out more stimulus than they did, basically the same size than the pandemic, as well as where we're at in the halving cycle, as well looking at the global liquidity, not just China, U.S. as well, and the people, the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan. We're seeing this break to new all-time highs. We've seen when this pushes up, it almost always front runs. Look at this. Massive uptick. Price still was sideways a bit, but this was within that 160-day metric that we've talked about before. 160-day metric, and the global liquidity came down a bit. But at the end of that 160, 170-day, global liquidity tick up, where we see the start of the parabolic uptrend. What we see here, FTX collapse, large increase in the global liquidity, and then where we get massive uptick into consolidation. The global liquidity was sideways through all this. So it makes sense that Bitcoin didn't run away. And then what do we see here? This actually pushed up in spite of global liquidity not ticking up. Now, why would that be? Well, we had the most bullish news in the integration in the history of Bitcoin and crypto, and that is the launch of the Bitcoin spot ETFs with BlackRock, Fidelity, VanEck, Bitwise, 21 shares. The list goes on and on. So there's a lot of positive sentiment pushing into this. Now, price action has been sideways for 6 months, and now we're starting to see that global liquidity tick to the upside. And in addition to all of this, What is risk looking like in the rest of the market? Well, we see that the S&P 500, traditional equities, pushing up while Bitcoin trading sideways. The magnet is to the upside, not to the downside. Yeah, it's good we got out of that because that's ticking to the downside right now. So that's why you enter stop losses, everybody. So we took a win, and then we took basically a small loss on a stop loss. So that's how you do it in this market. Now, continuing on, I just want to remind you where we're at right now. This is where we're at right now. This zone, boom, right here. We're testing previous all-time high. Let's look at this last cycle. Testing previous all-time high. What happened? Boom, explosion out of it. Look at this, testing previous all-time high. This is 2013 into 2016, 2017. We held up right under this previous all-time high, and then look, boom, that's where the parabolic trend started. 2013, 2012, 2013, this was just going up, and away into this, but this was also a much smaller market cap. So these are the two, this zone and this zone are the two that we're really paying attention to. Excuse me. Now, everybody has different measurements, but we can see here from the halving, it's 243 days. Excuse me. Here, from the halving, before we broke all-time high. So this measurement is from the halving to when we broke all-time high. So is this 243 different than my 162, my 160-day mark that I've been measuring? Well, this is breaking all-time high. We broke all-time high before the halving. That's not what I've been measuring. I've been measuring the price action. When we have any sort of price action up, a little down consolidation, it's when this breaks above this previous range high. That was about 155 days. Here, same thing. From the halving to when this started breaking to the upside was about 162 days. We just eclipsed that right now. Now this must be a few days old, this metric, because we're beyond 153 days from the halving. But the point here is that all the different signs and signals that we want to pay attention to are leading and lending themselves to bullish behavior. That's why I did this title, Bitcoin Signals Epic Bull Run Inbound. And you can go and read this if you want. Drop a comment in there, show some love. It actually would be wonderful if you would do that. Go in there, drop a comment at the bottom down here, show some love. But I mean, guys, the signals are here. The moment we've been waiting on our entire life is here, and all we have to do is pay attention. Now, we're about to jump in. We're going to do quite a bit of TA today, so I do want to shout out our channel partners, Arculus. Make sure you're protecting your crypto. Make sure you're protecting your future. Get Arculus.com. Get one of these Arculi. Get one of these Arculus. You get the card, the metal card there with the NFC chip in it that also pairs with your phone, that also uses your biometrics. It's the most secure crypto cold storage solution out there. It's my favorite, my preferred, and also channel partner. We take on partners that we believe in. That's why we're partners with Arculus and DAG and the other partners we had along the way, because we believe in what they're doing. And Arculus, in my opinion, is the best crypto cold storage solution out there. So head over to getarculus.com. Use code LAB10, LAB10, to get your hands on your Arculus today. Now, getting back over here into the global liquidity. Global liquidity. We're talking about it so much. Getting back over here into the liquidation heat map, seeing where that free liquidity is in the charts. We're seeing Bitcoin coming down, tap these lows, but the bulls, all these longs, we do have a huge pocket down here, basically from 62.6 all the way down to 61.5, about $1,000 liquidity zone. This does, I don't want to say give me caution. It does make me be aware that if we do get any strong reversal or catastrophic news or something that causes a spill in the markets, I'm watching this zone. But as it stands right now, the bullishness is far overpowering and outweighing any bearishness in the markets, because we bounced above these zones and the buying power has just pushed this up, and we're now attacking this liquidity that's been just above us. Now, when we come back again down to this 3-day chart, we see, look, slicing through it. We're not out of the woods yet. I am super bullish, but we are not out of the woods. We can see this because, yes, we have a higher low. Yes, we have a higher high. But as it stands right now, that's why the title of this and the thumbnail for this stream has to do with potential traps. Now, this is very nice. But we need to get a sustained move above this and a retest down into the zone. But we have somebody that's going to be popping on here in just a second. And before we bring them on, I have a couple more things I want to cover here, and that is this zone above us, $68,000. It's a little bit lower. Everybody sees this and they see a light breakout and they want to go 100x long all the way into this with no stop losses, only to have this be a trap in reverse and come back down. But we're seeing things across the board. We've been talking about this. The others chart breaking out. We've had this drew all the way from back here, this green line. We have broken out, but we still, at some point, whether we push higher and get a pullback or now get a pullback, be cautious right now, because as bullish as we are, the traps are ripe to be set. And we can see this within the charts. Ethereum, breaking out a little bit on the zone. We had this drawn out. It's done exactly what we drew. Now we had the double bottom here, pushed up. We have not yet cleared this. We have, look, a little bit of a higher high. We have not yet cleared this $2,800 mark here on Ethereum. We also see on Cardano, descending broadening wedge. Awesome. Everybody's talking about the pump on Cardano. Great. We're getting a pump. Man, pumping. But what is it really doing? As it currently stands, the pump is still within this descending broadening wedge, descending resistance level here back starting in April. Rejection here in May, rejection here again in July, rejection, much lower low here. We do have a little tiny baby bit higher high in the zone, but we need to clear this 41 to 43 cent zone. And more specifically, this is a much more important zone on Cardano right in here. It's too big of a zone. It's a little too girthy. We need to clear this zone, the 43 to 45 cent zone, because this is a more important top, because we have this more medium time frame top with all of these lows in here. This is the zone we want to watch for. Is this starting to show strength on Cardano? Yes, but there's very likely a very good possibility of rolling over in here, doing some more work before we break out of this. I'm just pointing to some things that you need to pay attention to. In addition to that, one of the coins that I've been talking about for quite some time, Constellation DAG. Look at this. We've been talking about this potential bottom. I've been talking about the partnerships. I've been talking about their integrations with the Department of Defense and U.S. Air Force and Iron Spider and the 700 different developers they had competing for that $100,000 prize in the hackathon that they did, bringing awareness on the retail side, because this team has been building into massive security layers with the Department of Defense integrated and being utilized for years. And seeing this now with this large sort of descending price action, forming this double bottom here. We have a nice box that we've drawn here that this is bounced out of. And look at this. We have now cleared this high right here at 2.7, 2.8 cents. And now pushing up now look into this trend line that we have in here. And this has been, I've been talking about this potential bottom since this here. And this, look at this move. How many of you have benefited from this 75% gain move on this from me talking about this opportunity that was set up here? In addition to all this, on the daily chart, we see the momentum wave, the money flow wave starting to round out, looking bullish as it can be. And then, of course, Tau breaking beautiful to the upside. Now, with that being said, I got a guest that's popping in here, and he's one of my favorite people in the space. Seems like we're just partners at this point, because he's always able to hop in here when the market's doing what it needs to do. So without any further ado, everybody give a warm welcome. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Mr. Matthew Hyland, what's up, my guy?
What is up, Kelly? I'm just posting a tweet real fast, and then I'll be good to go. Okay.
All right. As you're posting that tweet, I'm going to come over here and share. This is that the chart you're on right now?
Yep, that's the correct one. So
okay. Oh, here we go. Why is my cameras are always back? Oh, from the other day when we did this. Let me switch this real quick. One moment, please. There we go. I just wanted to highlight really quick, if we come over here to everybody, again, enter, let people know we're going live. Come over to the YouTube, the Twitter page right here, retweet this. And then, of course, make sure you're coming over here to give Mr. Matthew Hyland a follow. Some of the best data in the space. He's got not only a Twitter, he's got a Patreon as well as a YouTube that you can find him at. And all that information is right here. But I'm going to throw it to you, man. I'm going to get the data from you, brother.
All right. So today, Bitcoin has broken out so far against above 65K, which is pretty substantial. we need to close the daily candle above this level to start. It can't be confirmed until we have a close above. However, this does look good right now, so we'll see how the daily candle closes. We've been in a series of lower highs and lower lows for the past 6 months. This would be a break of the trend. This would also confirm that this low down here was a higher low above this August low. So we would have a higher high potentially and a higher low potentially, which is a start of a trend change. That would mean that this 6 month downtrend is more than likely coming to an end, which means we're starting to change direction. The tides would essentially be turning. It would be pretty substantial. So we'll just wait for the daily close, like Kelly was saying. It's easy to get excited right now, and it's definitely nice to see, but we just need further confirmation with the closes, especially if you look at the weekly time frame as well. If we can close, if we can close a weekly candle above these candle bodies back here, which it's currently well above, that would be quite significant. And now if we go to others, Kelly had brought this up, and I was just looking at this. I was making a video and saw this also. Others, which is alts outside of the top 10, is trying to also confirm a double bottom breakout. So for a double bottom breakout, you have two bottoms, a bottom here, a bottom here. This is the neckline. When this breaks, this is a confirmation of a double bottom breakout. And the measured target would be pretty, you take it from here to here and then measure it. That would be almost about a 30% move essentially for most alts we'd see with this breakout confirmed. And obviously we're seeing a lot of alts go up today over the past few days and weeks, and a lot more jumping in now. I'm interested to see what Bitcoin dominance is looking like. So Bitcoin dominance kind of the last few days has been consolidating here. I wonder, really, I think this level will be really telling. If it ever lost this level, then I think it would be pretty significant. But obviously, regardless of Bitcoin dominance, there's plenty of alts that have been outperforming Bitcoin. I've come on this channel and discussed them multiple times. Coins like FET, AVE, SUI. There's just been a bunch. So you don't have to focus completely on Bitcoin dominance, because there's other alts out there that are outperforming Bitcoin. But when this does drop, then pretty much all of them will end up outperforming Bitcoin.
So how does Sui and FET look? I know you. I'm gonna twist your arm. You always want to look at the weekly. You're more of a midterm macro guy,
Yep.
but pull up the daily on Sui and FET. I mean, because those have been kind of running while and Tau as well. Those have been running while it's almost like it was like a leading indicator. Some risk was coming back in the market. Are there any signs if you're looking at it? I know you don't normally look at daily charts, but is there any signs that there might be some weakness for a little bit, or is that just a front run and that's going to sustain forward?
Well, if you look at this chart, this is SUI Bitcoin. This chart just looks like super strong. And this really, if you zoom out, this could be just a massive double bottom potentially. If this ever broke out of this area, it would just be absolutely massive. But if we zoom in on the daily time frame, I think this looks fine. I mean, there's resistance up here. There's a few resistances it has to get through, but I think it's looking fine in my opinion. If we go to FET BTC, let me see.
When do we start trading ASI and not just FET?
I think it's already ASI now. It's just that they FET is ASI. It's just them. It's just the exchange. It's just really the exchange renaming it as like the ticker. It's FET. So the coins. I think it was Ocean. No, near Ocean and AGIX were the other two tokens. Those coins converted. Those coins converted into FET, and then FET stayed the same, and then FET got renamed to ASI. But Coinbase hasn't really done it, and I don't really know if they're going to or not. Back in August they said that they weren't going to do it or something. I'm not really sure. I think it's honestly better for them just to keep the FET name, in my opinion. It's a lot more known than ASI, but I'm not. It's really not too big of a deal, regardless. If we look at what is it? Okay, FET Bitcoin. This looks like an inverse head and shoulders, right? And we had watched this for a while for the past month or so. Um, Shoulder, head, shoulder, broke out, and this is against Bitcoin. So really, the price target for this would be, if you measure it from here to here, it would basically put this near all-time highs against Bitcoin. So this would be almost um, this would be a pretty sizable move. This would be over a 50% move against Bitcoin if this were to break out. If you look at this on the weekly time frame and zoom out, like this chart really looks just super clean. It's just been higher highs really and higher lows since really back in 2020. And then reclaiming this area, this was the essential high, got rejected off of 2 times, actually 3 times even here. Then we broke above it. FET went on its massive run back in February or March, then lost its steam. But then once when it reclaimed this area, that was significant. It kind of bounced off of it, and now it's pushing higher. So I think this wants to continue this trend and put in a new higher high at some point, which would be massive. You're looking at over 100% gains against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin were to go up 100%, then FET would go up essentially 4x. So yeah, FET's definitely like one of the top looking charts. And really, and we go to Tau also. Tau doesn't have enough price history as FET or even SUI, but it's basically at this all-time high level. If you look, this is against Bitcoin. It's basically at all-time highs against Bitcoin. I don't really count this wick. I'm not sure. This was like on Binance, I assume, this wick. But Tau's all-time high, I think, was around $700, but I think Binance has at like $1,300 with this wick. So I think this is really just the all-time high level at this point. So if Tau can break through this, then it's off to the races too for Tau. So yeah, there's just plenty of coins. I'm interested in Ethereum still. I mean, Ethereum, we have others making a higher high. We have Bitcoin making a higher high, but then we look at Ethereum, and Ethereum is still, it's got to get through this 2,800 level. I think it will, but it's just Ethereum right now is like the ultimate laggard right now in this industry. you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, I
I'm not
completely.
I'm not bearish. I'm not bearish. It's just interesting. It's just been super slow. But if you look back to the last cycle, it did the same thing though last time around. So
Yeah, one of the things I've been watching too, and you've shared this with the actual price action, but this makes me so bullish looking at this. And
oh
I don't
yeah,
know how I never really realized it before in regards to the global liquidity cycle, the halving cycle, and the election cycle are all literally on the exact same path, and they're just coming into this perfect crosshair now, where we're also seeing this story that I brought up earlier. Chinese central bank unveils most aggressive stimulus since pandemic. We're also looking at the global liquidity right here breaking to new all-time highs, all in line with, like, some people are still wondering, can we go higher? I'm like, what do you mean, can we go higher? Every sign and signal that suggests what would drive price action higher is flashing, and they're all saying, hey man, what are you worried about?
yeah, no, it's really oh, let me just remove this. If you look back historically, it's really just around the election time, and this is the month, and all these lines are November, so November 2012, November 2016, November 2020, and I actually think even as far as Bitcoin goes, it's even more attached to the election, actually, just getting through the election. But you see the same thing in the stock market. Usually the stock market waits until the election, and then the massive upside usually happens after. I could probably show you this on the S&P 500. Let me go to the monthly time frame. So if I just mark this up, right, go to November 2012 right here, and what do you, oops, you see all the upside after the election. Then you go to November 2016, oops, right about here, you see all this massive upside after the election. And then this is just annoying me. You go to November of 2020. That was around right here. And what do you see? You see massive upside. So even with the stock market, once when the election happens, you just see upside after, upside right after, upside right after. So Bitcoin also same exact thing. Once when the election happens, you just see upside after, upside right after it, and then upside after. And now we're basically, a month away now from that time period. So we're basically entering the time period where you almost have to be blindly bullish. And I think the people, which is crazy, you don't want to be for the most part blindly bullish, but typically the people that are blindly bullish during this time period end up doing the best. And despite everything else, like you said, there's the liquidity is expanding, the money expansion is occurring once again, and now with the ETFs, there's on ramps for a lot of that capital to flow in. We didn't really have that last time, and I think that contributed largely to this bull market not being sustained as the market cap grew higher than previous cycles. It needed more liquidity, but without the on ramps to get into Bitcoin, it wasn't really possible. But now we have the on ramps with the ETFs. If billions of dollars wants to flow in, it can flow in. Prior times, it was too much risk with the custodying of Bitcoin and other issues involved. And of course, we did have a few players like MicroStrategy, and then we had like the Grayscale product, but it wasn't. You can't compare that to the ETF. The ETF is just way more significant. We've already seen it, like 5% of the Bitcoin supply be bought up into
Yeah,
the
we're about to
ETF
eclipse
product.
1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, so it's just crazy, and this occurred without um, the liquidity rising. So as more money pours in, this probably will end up accelerating actually. So yeah, Bitcoin, it's we're definitely entering a period just based on history and everything else where this is really the time where things will probably look good and look good afterwards, especially in retrospect.
So let me ask you a question. OTT said loads of people saying that layer one coins are not going to make big jump this cycle. Is it true? I've already answered that in there. I'm curious what your thoughts. Do you think that because there's so many other altcoins and layer twos and all these different alternatives, do you think that, avalanches and the nears do you think that they're actually going to be suppressed, or do you feel like they're still going to do pretty well, 5, 8, 10x in some cases? Or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, some of the layer ones are actually doing pretty well. Like Sui and Sei right now are doing phenomenal. Phantom is another one that's doing pretty good. I think they're having their upgrade to Sonic, I believe, soon. I don't know too much about it. I think I learned about that at that consensus conference that we went to. Um, there's other layer ones also. Like I would say with the layer one thing, I've noticed that the older the layer one is, the more the price doesn't do as well. If that makes sense, it doesn't, like the older coins don't perform as well. Especially like if you look at coins from the 2017 cycle. So coins in their third cycle, there's a trend where they don't do as well. And we're kind of seeing that right now with Ethereum. Cardano hasn't been doing as well. But then if you look at like the newer layer one coins like Sui, Sei, they've done really well this cycle. They're brand new, and then the coins in their second cycle, such as Solana, such as Phantom, Avalanche, they've done, even though AVAX is down still compared to where it was back in March, it did go up, I believe, like 6 or 7x back in the winter. I think AVAX will end up doing well. I think Phantom is showing that it wants to do well. Really, the question is for the coins that are older, like Ethereum, like Cardano. I'm trying to think of other ones. The one outlier, though, is that's been kind of breaking that trend right now is Tron. Tron went to new highs, so that was kind of interesting. And that's an older coin from way back in 2017. So I'm not sure if that's an outlier, but I would say the market likes newer coins because there's less bag holders and it's like the new shiny thing. Um, there's a few new layer ones that are out. They haven't. I wouldn't say they. Some of them are starting to move a little bit, but they haven't really done anything too crazy. So they haven't really gotten too much attention. It's just basically been Sei and Sui lately because they have been doing well. But there are, I would say, look out for new layer ones. The market just tends to like the newer, shinier thing versus something that's older and has more bag holders from way back when. Because there are people that are holding, coins from way back in 2017. Believe it or not,
But
and
then you
that's why
still
some of
have
these.
something like Aave, which is up 160% since I can't see where that mouse is. Hold on, since July. I mean, really,
Yep.
since the August 4th when everything crashed. From that point forward, it's I mean, look at that. It's 140% move to the upside on Aave, and that's one of the more legacy DeFi plays coins out there. So it's one of those things. It's like it's not going to be true across the board for everything, um, but man, I could not be more excited about this bull market season. It's starting to percolate. We're starting to see the steam on the top of the water. We don't see the bubbles yet, but we know that the flame is still
Yeah.
on the pan. We see the steam. If the flame is on the pan, we see the steam. We know the next thing is the bubbles, which means this market's about to boil over.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think we're definitely just super close. Let me go. This is I think Phantom BTC I have pulled up. So Phantom is another one that's just been. If you look at this on the weekly time frame, this was an inverse head and shoulders that was pretty clean right here against Bitcoin. Um, so it probably wants to go higher. But yeah, the market's interesting, but I do think we're right on time with how we have done historically in election years. It's about that time. It's been long enough. Like it's been a long time now since the last bull market cycle. It's been about 3 years almost now since we saw the top back in November of 2021. So from a time perspective, um, a lot of people gave up and quit. A lot of people didn't sit through this whole period. I think the last 6 months had kind of wiped a lot of the people out that kind of were starting to get back in. So yeah, this is what crypto does. It pumps a lot, and then it slowly, it gets boring, and then people lose interest, people leave, and then when everyone's gone, then it starts to go up once again. And I think we're at that point where a lot of the interest is still very low. People don't really care about crypto, but that will ultimately end up changing fast. Especially, I think when Bitcoin clears these all-time highs for good, we'll see a resurgence of interest return back to this space.
Yeah, shout out. I see my boy Crypto Danks in the house. He and I are going to be doing a lot of content together. We've been doing a lot of content together. So shout out to my guy. But also Crypto Crank here said, ask Kelly, ask him about the Sui up unlock with this pump, a short setup. I guess there's a large unlock in 4 days. Do you think that that's something that we should be concerned about, or is it not something that the broader market really is going to factor in?
The supply things have always been interesting, and I don't I'm aware of the supply, but I wouldn't read too much into any sort of supply thing on the shorter time frame. I just like to look at the chart, because you can make a case like for like Ethereum's supply was going down for a while, with the burning method. So the supply was decreasing, but the price wasn't going up. But then, like last year, Solana, the supply was increasing. I believe we had pulled that up a week or so ago. The supply increased, I think, 20%, or no, not 20%. I think like 10% over the past year. So Solana was seeing an increase of supply, but the price was still going up. So it's really just supply and demand. If there's demand there, even if the supply is increasing, um, then the unlocks won't be as significant. I'm not saying to completely ignore the supply and the demand dynamics, but we've seen in this market numerous times where supply goes up, but then the price goes up. Meanwhile, there's coins where the supply is going down and the price is going down. So it's not like a guarantee either way. So the chart is usually the best way to just view and look at coins specifically.
I mean, I agree. I think we it's important to be aware of when you're looking at a longer term deal, and how things are going to perform over time. But when you're looking at the momentum of a trend, and the momentum of a trend is strong buying pressure, I don't think, you know, 5% or, you know, I don't even know what the percentage unlock is on SUI. Um, I don't think that that's something that's going to really put a huge damper on strong momentum into a movement. Now, if there's that unlock and so if there's that unlock and a pretty big spill of Bitcoin, then you could argue it's one or the other. And the truth is, it's always going to be a combination of all factors. But I mean, the market is so bullish right now. Do you think? Because a lot of people, myself included, I try to hedge myself. Also, not only hedge myself in the way I'm participating in the market, I have to be very aware that everything I say is being shared to thousands and thousands of people. And so I want to make sure people are looking at both cases, both bullish and bearish. And so I have outlined the possibility of even a push up to 68,000 and then, you know, a potential another washout down, could be back down to test 65, could be down to test 60, could be down to test 50 even. Um, and I know it's a bit of a bias, and I feel like everybody's starting to feel this right now. But do you feel like that possibility of a larger washout is starting to diminish as we push into October with this October sort of sentiment, with the global liquidity, with the buyers starting to like get reactivated? How are you feeling about that potential washout factor?
I would say if we look at the daily time frame, there is always a potential. So once if we can make this a higher high, then we'll see where we push up to, whether it's 70K. That's really where the next resistance is. But then from there, I would think we would get some sort of pullback. But really, at this point, as long as we have a lot of room at this point, then because the last low was down here at 52 3K, and I don't think we're going to retest that. But anything can happen in these markets. But at this point, once when we get this higher high and we have a higher low, higher high, then we would have to assume the next low would be higher than this low down here at 58 or 53K area. So I I don't know. It's interesting, but usually like once when that switch gets hit, if we go back to like 2020, let me go back here. This was around. Let me see. This was back in November. If you go back to October, once when that switch got hit right here, we broke above this area, made this higher high. Um, it was almost like no looking back. Really, it just went straight vertical for the most part. There was a small pullback here, um, and just continued up. So it's hard to say what we'll do precisely in the smaller time frame, but I think on the larger time frame it looks pretty well. And if we look at the monthly candle too, currently it's in the green. And September, this looks like a bullish engulfing uh, monthly candle. We haven't had one of those really since way back here actually, but that didn't end up working out. But yeah, this candle is pretty interesting too because September is usually historically Bitcoin's worst month, and we're seeing it green this month. We also saw this last year as well. So, and usually October is Bitcoin's best performing month. I think it has an average of 20% upside on average. So, yeah, October is definitely a good time historically for Bitcoin. Um, so I think it's setting up where we want to, continue up into October, November, December, Q4. It's really working out that way. It seems like.
No, I agree with that. And I want to ask everybody that's tuned in live right now, if you're on Twitter, make sure you're retweeting that the live stream on Twitter. You're going to be entered to win. We're going to be drawing tomorrow. But then also we got October coming up. If you're watching on Twitter or you're watching on YouTube, comment below, comment in the live chat or comment below. If you're watching later, if you're watching on Twitter, comment in the on that post. What price point do you think Bitcoin is going to be at the end of October? What price point do you think Ethereum is going to be at the end of October? Let's see who gets closest. But I mean, these are exciting times. We've been waiting on this. I've been in the markets for 3 cycles now, and I'll admit, and I know you've been in the market as long as I have, Matt, and it can get boring sometimes. Sometimes you start to question your thesis. Sometimes you start to wonder, if when I buy, does it mean everybody else sells? What the hell? When I sell, does everybody else buy? But also, how long is this price going to go sideways? Well, we're entering that zone right now that I don't think patience is going to be a factor any longer. But it's going to be a major determination on how much capital you have allocated in the market, more prescient day by day as this opportunity evaporates. Because if you lose 20% now, that's a 20% difference on what your profit. If you're just on a position hold, that's a 20% difference. So if you have 20% and the price goes up, what could have been $400,000 or $500,000, 20% difference on that is $100,000. So you got to really make sure what you're doing right now is in line with what your goals are. You have to make sure what you're doing right now is in line with what your strategy is, what your ability is, making sure you're not over allocated. I'm all about right now. We're getting into that heavy trading time frame right now. But I say this to you all the time. It is incredibly important that you're not out there, because I've done this before 2 cycles ago. You do not, let me repeat, you do not trade your entire portfolio. If you're going to trade, you set something aside and you do it smartly. And in this case, we've got that traders group that I just want to shout it out. If you scroll over here on Twitter, directly below, free traders group, sign up right there. The link is there in order to get in. We got education in there. We have signals. We have basically support, community, everything that you could want. And all you have to do to join is sign up with that CoinW link in there, deposit $100 USDT, and make sure that you can be riding these trends. Do you have anything else? We're going to be wrapping this out. Do you have anything else you wanted to say before we go? What you're seeing for the rest of the day? Are we dropping? Are we going up? What's happening?
I'll wait for the daily candle close. I don't try to make those predictions, but I would just say mostly just make a plan now for profits and profit taking, and just realize like you're not going to end up selling the top 100%. There's no possible way. Also, we don't know where this cycle is going. It can go much higher than everyone expects. It can not exceed, or it could not meet everyone's expectations and go not as high potentially as well. So really the best way, in my opinion, is just to slowly scale out and just reward yourself. If you bought over the past few month or so when everything was low and you took that risk and now you're up, and if it continues to go up and you're up more, pay yourself for taking that risk, and don't worry too much about if it goes higher after you sell some of it. It's just there's no person that sells 100% at the top. It's just not going to happen. It would be like almost getting struck by lightning. So
shout out to Crypto Danks with the super chat to wrap it out. He said you're more at risk sitting on the sidelines than not in the markets at all right about now. Bite the bullet, find an investment, and make that paper, baby. That's what this is about. Just make sure if you're going to enter that you understand why you're entering, what you're, like he said, nobody has an exit strategy when they enter. They just say, I want to make money. But then that means you're going to be subject to the emotional moves in this market. Matt, thanks for tuning in here. Thanks for popping in here on a moment's notice.
Yep.
And everybody, again, make sure you follow him at Matthew Hyland _. You can see it under his face right there. He's got that Jets hat on. Finally, you got a guy without a torn Achilles. Maybe you're going to do something this year.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, but that's all we got, everybody. We're heading over to Blockchain Basement now. Again, make sure you tune in over on, I'm about to enter a trade, by the way. Make sure you tune in over directly below the page right here, Free Traders Group. Sign up right there. All the information is in there. Get inside the Signals Lab. But that's all we got for today, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Matthew Hyland. Everybody, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button on your profits. Let's go. Adios.
Peace.